I never thought I would make a video on this, but screw it. Welcome to Roblox Forge, where your job is to continuously mine and forge weapons and armor from the ores you mined. The Forge always stood out to me as an interesting game, despite me never trying it until like 3 days ago when making this video. It rings off being inspired by fish in some sort of way, where every rock you mine, you got a chance of getting whatever rarity ore comes from it. You can also gamble your race to get something good. The game is still in beta and people are already calling it the best RNG game, though when I was playing it, I really didn't come to enjoy most of this and purpose of any said RNG game. The game is pretty interesting, but the longer I played it, the more I saw a lot of issues in this game which can hopefully be changed. I'll show how this was the case in my position. Starting from when I joined, I thought this game was going to be somewhat interesting. Reaching 500,000 currently active players in 1 week of the making is insane after all. Though when playing it, I was really getting into it, mining and killing mobs like the game intended, and forging. Though the more I kept playing the game, the more I started getting loose from the gameplay. Not all weapons were in intent of being grind worth weapons, and my time of playing, using katana was about the only thing I stood with. Slow weapons combined with the mob AI swings, it doesn't match up at all. The thing about this is that when putting ores in, trying to get a certain said weapon I soon came to question its feature, especially when you're late game. I found it pretty interesting. If you wanted an upgraded or a different variant of a weapon type, you would have to gamble raw luck hoping you get it. Which is at the time I really thought it didn't change any stats and just for show. But no, they do. Which mining ores that have RNG, you would definitely expect the best weapon after hours just to get something you really don't want. Forging is obviously the main gist of the game, and it even brought me to assume that you would be able to craft and select your own weapon, not just increase the chance of a wanted weapon and put your best ores into designing it. And you might ask why I'm not talking about the armor. It's because it's probably the most reasonable crafting in the game. Dumping ores increases your chances of getting stronger armor, not changing it if it gets slower speed or any other sort if it's heavy or not. Though I do like the idea of enchanting weapons, armor, and installing runes on them, which are like passives, as it keeps your weapons damage up the pace for a good while. But my problem doesn't come from crafting, it's mostly the progression that this game has. This game's progression is horrifyingly slow. I wanted to understand what I have to do in order to get better at this game. Since I start, mining ores that weren't my pickaxe level wouldn't do anything at all. So it was a struggling need to get money, get a better pickaxe, and continue onwards, right? Well, when I say that the quests were about the only thing giving me a big enough boost, I say that by a lot. Getting money without quests is dreadfully slow. The only known method right now is selling heavy chest plates you get from crafting a bunch of unwanted ores together just to go ahead and sell. Though starting off, you will only think to sell your equipment to upgrade, and selling ores straight up would not offer you as much, unlike forging. I never really mind the idea, but it really pushes me to buy 2 game passes at this part to not disturb my gameplay and keep my pacing at a good speed. Killing mobs also gives you money, but compared to the pickaxes you gotta get, you would have to kill 1,000 just to be happy. Even when you're done with those pickaxes, you got 85k to give away just to get 25k in return to access a new area in the second world. But even if progression is a problem, what more is there about this game that is an issue at start? There is a lot to name. Quality of life, or QOL, is granted in a lot of games to ease players' pain to understand how a game works a lot more better. But when you lack that, players tend to be confused or upset about some sections of the game, knowing why something that isn't needed to stop that issue. The Forge lacks multitudes of quality of life features. Starting off, mining ores that you want can stop spawning in that area if you want to avoid a certain ore. This due reason stops players from fully mining a block, waiting for it to regenerate, and mine it again to check if its block has a certain ore they want. Not only that players can hog blocks you're trying to mine, which can tick a lot of people off. There is no client-sided mining in this game, and this leads to people being overly competitive to get a certain block, making sure no one gets it before they mine it. The only idea that comes to mind when doing this is just making the blocks client-side, and since the greed of people knows no bounds, and there are thousands of people mining one pair of blocks over and over in every public server you go to. Which I get it, it's reasonable since forging in this game is RNG reliant. Next is anti-cheat. The lack of anti-cheat doesn't make any sense. Sure, the game may be in beta, but there has to be a clear understanding that if a game is going to be released, do expect people to get a virus on their PC just to get a 70% revenue increase in a game. There are people flying around the Forge with their main accounts thinking that nothing will happen to them. It has become so common where you will just see 5 people in the same server just eating away blocks and mobs like it's a server cleanse going on. Which at the time of this part, they still have not added anti-cheat in this game. But yet they want to patch out ways for people to not bug abuse, rather clear a bigger problem forward. Third of all is the mob spawning. The mob spawning in this game is very wonky, and to be fair, it shouldn't really be the case. I don't want to go mining in one area just to kill an enemy just for them to spawn 15 seconds after just to try again. There should be a radius where if you're nearby a spawner for too long, it would make sure to not spawn in that radius you are in. I come to find myself fighting one enemy just for another one to spawn right behind me and kill me. There is no turn-based fighting with these enemies, so they can all attack you at the same time. And lastly, private servers. It was randomly removed one day and I'm unsure why. It was most needed to stay in this game, and without it, it makes the progression 5 times as worse. There's nothing to really say about this part because the reasons listed above were the main reasons. Though they said they'll add them later down the road, which is on the 25th, which is a long way from how people are looking at this game now. Holding off an update for that long when the clear fix is right in front would definitely make the people feel like hell. Away from progression and mentioning something from the KOL section is that the whole point of Endgame is just the AFK. There is no ways to filter ores you want, so you're constantly filling your stash just to sell them again and go back to mining, which I genuinely dislike about this as of currently. You're trying to get better at the game, but you're constantly in competition with the ores that you don't need each time, and it's just sitting there waiting to be forged or sold, which gets to a point where you would feel demotivated to even craft them anymore and just sell them straight up. It is just to keep the train going. The fun aspect in this game is mostly mod killing and parrying attacks, which getting stunned is a good addition to not make the combat just as dry, which I can't say can be enjoyed when you're not getting jumped. You're free to continuously try a weapon you want endgame after a 6-hour AFK session on a rock just to get randomly killed by some griefer and hope for the best, which its pacing isn't as bad as its progression. The Forge is a good game, however, but I wouldn't say it's the best. It lacks in so many categories that it needs polishing on, which is okay to say in the first preview of a game. Fish wasn't perfect when it released, and over time they worked off that. The Forge just needs to listen to feedback and just do them in quick patches rather than big updates. It has been its first or second week at the time I'm making this, but all of this isn't being taken as me hating on the game, rather extreme criticism. The Forge has a lot of potential, and until its second update on the 25th, there's probably more to talk about this game. But without any more to say, thank you for watching, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you on the next one.